Are you ready to take your business finances to the next level? If you are in for a treat today because we have the amazing Kalola Roby with us today, an outstanding finance coach who helps entrepreneurs level up their financial game so they can achieve their business dreams. In this video, we will be diving into the crucial steps every new entrepreneur should take when starting a business to ensure a strong financial foundation. Hey y'all, it's Harriet with a brand new video. I am excited that we are joined today by Kalola. Kalola, it is so great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
No problem. Now, before we get into the details that she's here to share with us, if you're new here, welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Harriet Harris, the Limitless Business Coach. I empower ambitious women to shatter their self-imposed limitations so they can thrive in life and in business, so they can live life without limits. On my channel, I share tips, resources, and strategies for all things business and life, from entrepreneurship to mindset shifts and personal development. If any of that interests you, then go ahead and hit subscribe below so you'll be notified when my next video goes live. So as I mentioned today, we're talking about finances, about laying the foundation for your business finances and the essential steps that every single new entrepreneur should take when starting a business. So let's get to it. Grab your pen and paper and get ready for the gems that Ms. Kalola is about to drop. But before we dive into the questions, first we have a challenge for you. In the comments below, share one financial goal that you have for your business for this year. Don't be shy. We're going to read each and every comment. All right, let's dive in. Kalola, will you start by telling us a bit more about you and what you do as a finance coach?
Yes, thank you. So I work with professional women and small business entrepreneurs, specifically solopreneurs, to help them experience more flexibility with their finances. And I started coaching because after I've been in the financial industry for a little over 20 years, and just gaining that knowledge, it perfectly aligns with my passion and my purpose, just to help women intentionally manage their finances.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, thank you. Like I said, we are happy that you are here for sure, and that you are going to give us some information about business finances.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the basics. Like, what would you say is the first step that one should take in setting up their finances when starting a business?
Yep, that's a wonderful question. So assuming that we've already established our separate legal entity, because that's very important, once you've done that, you definitely, and I would recommend opening up a business checking account. Now, a lot of people think that it's easier to put all of their personal and business assets into the same account. But doing this, it really complicates things, especially when it comes to tax time. And we all know tax time is very stressful anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So not to have these separated would at
Right.
least alleviate, some stress, definitely.
Oh,
So
yeah, I could see that.
yeah, that's a major, a major reason to separate that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have businesses, small businesses, or even our hobbies. It may start
Mm-hmm.
as a hobby at first, but as you keep going, you still want to make sure that you're separating that your personal and your business, so that you really know what your expenses are. Because if you have that commingled, you really lose focus and you lose track of, okay, really, what are my expenses and how much am I really earning? So although, it may be a hobby, you still want to get those separated.
I always like to be so transparent on my channel and just when I share with people anyway, because one of my earlier businesses, one of my first, I guess, solo businesses actually started as a hobby, and I made that grave mistake. So
Mhm.
that's why I knew that, getting this information out to people is very important, because I just kind of wrote it off like, oh, it's just a hobby, and that hobby transitioned into a business. And I was not able to differentiate, when the timing, that it happened. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I just, basically kind of threw that money away. I really couldn't put it into the business because there was no way to document what I'd done, because I was just going to Michael's and going to Joanne, going and buying stuff because I was like, oh, I want to try this. And then people are like, oh, I like it. Let me buy it. And there it is. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Starting,
Right. And
even if it's a hobby.
exactly. And you're not alone because after doing research, oh, I mean, it's over half of American small business owners do not separate their
Wow.
personal from their business accounts. So when tax time comes again, that's when the stress comes,
Right.
or you're still not even knowing, how much revenue am I really, really bringing in? And besides that in itself, just having a business checking account, it just adds
Mhm.
that level of professionalism, and then also credibility just to your
Yeah.
business, to your hobby. When you have your clients paying you,
Mhm.
they trust you more if they're writing that check out, or if they are paying you through a business account. And so they trust you more, and it's just more credible that way.
Yeah, I think it's a little uncomfortable to say, "Oh, this is my business name, but can you write that check out too?"
Right, right. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, really what you said about tax time, it actually, that was another memory that you kind of triggered, is because there are so many benefits, especially if you have a home-based business, that people can get, from having that business. But if you don't have things, allotted out and separated, you don't get the benefit. And that was kind of what I experienced when I first got started.
Right. I
Okay.
think it's just bringing that to the forefront and just making sure that people really understand what the benefits are when you do that, when you separate your expenses. So, starting to know exactly what your business expenses are from your personal expenses. Like you
Right.
said, during tax time, you can determine, okay, what can I write off? What deductions do I have? That's a huge, huge reason to
Correct.
separate the finances.
That is true. Yeah. So really, I know, just as a coach, as a business coach, when I'm talking to clients or potential clients, one of the things that come up in conversation is, do I really need a business bank account right now? Like, is that like, should that be one of my first steps? And it sounds like this should be, even in the hobby phase, this is the step. This should be happening.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. If once, like I said, once you establish that entity, go ahead and open up the business checking account.
Mhm.
You may have to do some research on where you want your business checking account to be, and the benefits do definitely outweigh the headaches.
Mm.
We talked about, and I always go back to, the IRS recommends that
Mhm.
you have those separate business, you have the
Right.
separate business and personal account. It's just easier for record keeping, and if you're audited, then you're gonna have to find receipts and separate things. You're gonna have
Mhm.
to prove it, and why take the stress off? why
Right.
why be stressed out about it now, or you can, when you can alleviate that.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned benefits. So what are some of the key benefits of having a separate business bank account, especially for entrepreneurs who are just starting out? You've mentioned a few of them, but are there any additional benefits? I know we've talked about tax benefits and, IRS recommends it, and being
Mhm.
able to, someone being able to write you a check, or you being able to
Mhm.
cash the check. But are there any additional benefits?
Yes. Yep. So I'd say, one of the things, the very first one that I will always say is you will be able to easily track your expenses. You will
Mm,
be, easily able to say, okay, this is, these are my business expenses, and this is what I need to budget for, or this is what I need to
mm,
account for.
right.
Also when it comes to like determining like a healthy cash flow,
Mm,
knowing what your expenses are, you would be able to tell, okay, is it time for me to cut some expenses? And you would
mm,
easily be able to see what expenses you need to cut. Or maybe, one thing I say is kind of looking at your business expenses is almost looking at your personal. It kind of is the same thing, because when I think about my personal expenses and think about, okay, what are some things that I might need to cut? And I think most people go and look at, oh, I got these subscriptions that I'm not even
mm-hmm.
using, or,
Yep.
and
Yep.
this, would definitely help. Well, it's the same in business. You may have some
Yes.
subscriptions that, you're not even using anymore, but now you're paying for it. And that, that is within that cash flow. So if you're cutting subscriptions that you don't even need, or finding that, it's just easier finding those expenses that you don't need. And then that
Wow.
just will continue to create that healthy cash flow. And another thing is just, you know, a benefit is being able to accept payments. So we talked about, you would be able to accept your debit cards or credit cards or Cash App, or, things
Mm-hmm.
like that through your business account. So
Counts.
just having that available are some other benefits to having a business account.
Wonderful. I like it. All of that is very good. So I hope you all are writing this down, because these are things that, that we need to know. So Kalola, what advice can you give to entrepreneurs who want to maintain a healthy cash flow and make informed financial decisions for their business?
Yep. So, again, one of the things is know your expenses. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to always be, I think that's like always my number one answer is know what your expenses are. And once you have that good visibility with your expenses, then like I said, you'll see places that you can cut costs from. You'll start to see that, and that just will improve your cash flow by limiting those expenses that don't even really add value to your business, because
Mm,
your business will continue to grow and it'll outgrow some of the things that you are spending money on.
so
So
true.
you want to make sure that that you have visibility into knowing what your expenses are. And then I would say another thing to do is, have processes and systems in place so that you can
Yes.
quickly resolve any type of client dispute or any type of outstanding payments. It's important to have
Mm,
those systems in place, because if not, then you can easily either forget about them or overlook them.
right.
And that again, it um it just messes up your cash flow if you don't have those systems in place. And
Okay.
then I'd say just a couple smaller things. Um, Make sure that you send your invoices out early. This affects cash
Mm,
flow definitely. Get
yes.
those invoices out so that you can manage those payments. So you can manage what needs to come in, because it all comes back to knowing, bringing that revenue in. And if you're not managing these processes, and if you're not having a simplified system or any
Right.
type of system in place, then that's going to affect your cash flow.
Wow.
Does that
That is,
help?
yes, that is very good. I really like two things that really stood out when you said processes and procedures in place for like if a payment doesn't go through. Like that to me is something that I've honestly never thought of. But then the other thing that you mentioned is getting those invoices out. Like that
Mhm.
is important,
Mhm.
because
Right, right.
you always want to make sure that your money is coming in.
Yes.
Um, expecting it to come in is one thing, but having it to actually come in is a whole different beast, right? So
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely.
Love that. Great advice. Is
Yep.
there anything else you'd like to share that maybe we didn't touch on already?
Well, there's so many things. There's so many things, but I think we really hit on a lot of the fundamentals for
Okay.
when you establish that, when you establish your entity and you go and open up your business checking account, do that immediately. I think that we, definitely hit on those important points.
Okay. And yeah, so speaking of the business entities, if you are unsure which of the, main, or I guess our major business entities that are available and that people typically use for when they're starting a small business, I did a previous video on that. So you can go back and watch that video about choosing your legal entity, because that is going to be the step that you have to take and get that process done before, because when I go and create my business bank account, I have to provide that information to the bank. So you want to make sure you do that. So be familiar with what it is that you want to do, and or the type of business that you want to start, whether it's a corporation, LLC, sole proprietorship, partnership, whatever of those entities that you're looking into. Make sure you know before you and understand them. So I do give some tips on that. So like I said, you can check that out in the previous video. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kalola, for joining me. I'm so glad that you were willing to share your expertise with us today. Your insights will no doubt help many entrepreneurs. I mean, even I learned something, but it'll help, new entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs, I'm sure, navigate the world of business finances more effectively.
Mhm.
So for those of you watching, be sure to check out Kalola's social media details, which will be in the description, to get more valuable tips and advice. She shares something pretty much every day. Um, Now, Kalola, you have something exciting happening really soon. Would you please share it with everyone?
Yes, so I'm very, very excited to offer a masterclass for business finances, and this is to help
Yes.
you get organized. So we're talking about the reasons why we need to separate a business account, a business checking account from your personal account, but we're not really going into, well, how do I do that? Well, the
Mm,
masterclass will definitely help you do that. You'll walk away learning, more in-depth reasons on why you need to separate your business account from your personal account. I'll even give you a system. We'll walk through a system that'll help you become organized with your finances and your receipts for tax time. So that's definitely going to be helpful. And then a lot of questions that I get is, well, how do I pay myself? Or
mm,
when do I pay myself?
that's
And
a good
how
one.
much do I even pay myself? So we'll talk about that and give you ideas on ways to determine how much to pay yourself consistently, and whether, is it a good idea to pay yourself weekly or monthly? We'll dive into all of that too. So I'm very excited about that. That is happening March 31st.
Nice.
And again, is on my social media. So I'm hoping that you all will run to my social media and sign up for my masterclass.
Wow, how exciting. And that sounds like a class that I need to be a part of as well. So y'all go and register for her masterclass. The details, in addition to her social media, will be in the description of this video. Now, if you are at a point where you are ready to start your business and you're ready to start the planning, you be sure to check out my upcoming masterclass, my visual business planning masterclass, which will be on April 11th. And you can find the link in the description as well. If you need guidance on getting your business started, feel free to book a complimentary business goals chat with me. That link is also to my calendar is also in the description. Now, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time with a brand new video. Bye, y'all.